think that's good enough.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Hi, Jim. Nice to see you, buddy. I'm good. Good to see you. This is my high school yearbook photo, which I have not seen since I got out of high school, and frankly, it's frightening. Excuse me, Massimo.
Good afternoon, and thank you all for being here today. My name is Massimo Randazzo, and I'm a senior at Ramsey High School. Like most students in New Jersey, I've grown up with a phone in my pocket. It's been there, through classes, practices, meetings, and nearly every part of my daily life. That context matters, because for teenagers, phones aren't just distractions. They're integrated into how we communicate, how we socialize, and how we manage our time. So when my school introduced a phone-free policy, it wasn't a minor adjustment. It was a real shift in how the school day functioned. Exactly 1 year ago, Ramsey High School implemented Yonder pouches. At the time, the reaction from students was predictable. We were frustrated. We're used to having constant access to our phones, and adjusting to life without them during the school day wasn't easy. But once that initial resistance passed, the impact became clear. In class, focus improved. There was no buzzing in pockets, no quick checks under desks, no waiting for the bell just to see who had texted. In the hallways, something else changed. Instead of everyone rushing between classes staring at screens, students actually started talking to one another. The space felt more social and more present. What surprised me most was the effect on stress. I assumed being separated from my phone would make the day more tense. Instead, it created a break from nonstop notifications, group chats, and the pressure to always be available. The school day felt calmer and more manageable. That's not to say everything was perfect. The adjustment was difficult, and there were practical inconveniences. Checking emails, coordinating with coaches, or even making plans with friends for after school required new habits. But we adapted, and we adapted faster than we expected. Looking back, the takeaway is simple. It didn't fix everything, but it changed how the school day actually felt. As a senior, it helped me be present, stay where my feet are, and focus on the people and moments around me during my final months at Ramsey High School. Thank you for the opportunity to share a student perspective today. And with that, it is my honor to introduce Governor Phil Murphy as he prepares to sign this historic legislation. Thank you.
Thank you. How cool is this, huh? I'm told this is the band room. I used to play the clarinet, so I feel right at home. Thank you, Massimo. That's not easy to stand up and kick things off. Good morning, everybody, especially not just to Massimo, but to the fellow students. Raise your hand if you're a student here at Ramsey High. You're everywhere. Let's hear it for the students, guys. Oh! It is a real treat to be here. It's home to NJ.com's Big North Team of the Year, the Ramsey girls soccer team that went 25-0. Let's hear it for them, huh? Incredibly honored to be with you today for a whole host of reasons, at least one of which is that one of my closest colleagues is Ramsey High School's very own and your former Student Congress President, class of 2015, Meet Hollywood Patel. Please stand up, Meet. I am incredibly honored to be here this morning because we are celebrating one of the final, and I would argue one of the most consequential pieces of legislation I will have the honor of signing into law as governor. And this legislation is all the more meaningful because it will advance at least two of our biggest priorities. Number one, preserving New Jersey's best in the nation public education system. And Jersey, baby. And secondly, strengthening our state's reputation as a global leader in responsible innovation. In just a few minutes, with the stroke of a pen, we will achieve a goal that I believe is just plain common sense, banning cell phones from our state's K-12 schools. That's right, this law will require every public school in New Jersey to implement a bell-to-bell ban on cell phones, period. It is a historic victory for our educators, for parents, and most importantly, as Massimo alluded to, students. And I believe in the years to come, this proposal will be considered just as sensible as many laws that we take for granted today. What comes to mind? Requiring cars to come equipped with seat belts, or prohibiting smoking on airplanes. Frank Lautenberg, Jim. Just ask the students and parents here at Ramsey High School, again, like Massimo. Nearly 1 year ago, I think it was literally January 7th last year, is that right? 1 year ago to the day, this campus introduced a phone-free policy. So for those of you who don't know, here's how it works. When students arrive on campus at the start of the school day, they place their phone in a pouch where it remains secure and inaccessible. And the benefits of switching to a phone-free learning environment here at Ramsey High School were both immediate and far-reaching. In fact, within 4 months of adopting a bell-to-bell cell phone ban, nearly 80% of the faculty members on this campus reported increased engagement in class. A majority of faculty members also observed greater student-to-student interaction, fewer classroom distractions, and more attentive students. And the progress we have seen here in Ramsey is not an isolated phenomenon. When you talk to educators and parents in school districts that have enacted similar cell phone bans, you will often hear the same thing. Students are more focused, they're less anxious, and they are socializing and laughing with each other, not through a screen, but in the hallways and classrooms. So with the legislation I'm signing today, we're going to fundamentally improve the learning environment for every K through 12 student by requiring every school district to follow the lead of campuses just like this one. And I say this as a dad of 4, more so than a governor. I wish this ban had been in place a long time ago. Now, of course, as with any major legislative victory, it took a village to reach this moment. So first and foremost, I want to thank the sponsors of this legislation, Senator Paul Moriarty, who unfortunately is sick and can't be with us today. I want to give Paul a shout out. Assemblywoman Rosie Begoli, who's here, and you'll hear from her. We also have Assemblyman Cody Miller, who helped get this over the goal line. So thanks to each and one of you, along with all of your colleagues in the legislature who helped get this thing across the finish line. I want to also acknowledge your extraordinary county executive, the one and only Jim Tedesco, who's in the House. We also have Ramsey Mayor Deirdre Dillon with us. I also want to thank the Commissioner of the Department of Education, my colleague Kevin Damer, the President of the New Jersey Education Association, you'll hear from him in a few minutes, Steve Beatty, Holly Moscatello, and all of her allies with the Balance Project. Great to have you. We're also going to hear from you. I also want to thank in absentia my friend, who is again not with us, the author of Anxious Generation, the one and only Jonathan Haidt. Where are the guys who met me this morning? Right here. You're right here, guys. So I want to give Superintendent Dr. Andrew Mateo a shout out, Principal Dr. Michael Thum, Michael Biggin, who is the Director of High School Education. Is Andrew Bell here? Andrew, you with us? Where are you, man? You're like the George Washington of this movement for me. Andrew is the superintendent at Woodbury City. He invited me down to see this with my own eyes, whenever that was, 6-9 months ago. How about 11? Time flies. I've got 12 days left of the job, so bear with me. But literally, that was a transformational period, and the most important part of it, not to diminish my respect for you, was the kids alone session I had where they weren't being paid to tell me how they felt about this. Just as you said, Massimo, not easy at first, but once you got there, it was a game changer. So, Andrew, thanks for schlepping, I think 2.5 hours probably up here, right? Honor to have you. Is Jen Higgins here? Jen's the AFT pres. Jen, great to have you with us as well. Many advocates and other senior representatives of important organizations. Clearly the educators and administrators here, and as I mentioned a few minutes ago, the students and the members of the New Jersey Commission on the Effects of Social Media Usage on Adolescents, a commission whose name rolls right off the tongue. We create, why could we just call it like the Bob? We created this commission a couple of years ago, And just this past September, its members came together to issue a final report outlining 20 recommendations for New Jersey policymakers. And what was the first recommendation on that list? Calling on school districts up and down our state to implement bell-to-bell bans on the use of cell phones and social media in school. And for me personally, this bill signing is something of a full circle moment. Back when I served as the chairman of the National Governors Association, which is a bipartisan organization representing all of America's governors, my hallmark initiative as chair was strengthening youth mental health. And I prioritize this challenge not just because it is one that unifies leaders of all political stripes. It's because, and you all know this, over the past couple of decades, we've seen a shocking and untenable increase in the number of young Americans struggling with mental health issues, from anxiety to depression to you name it. And by the way, the COVID pandemic did not help that. So let's face the facts. This growing youth mental health crisis did not appear out of thin air. It has only grown worse as smartphones have become more ubiquitous. So with this legislation, New Jersey is going to set a national standard for protecting our students, their mental well-being, and their ability to succeed in the classroom. And in my view, there has never been a better moment to enact this transformative policy. Because as of this past school year, we are finally starting to see something that we have been working toward for the past 5 years, and that is a return to pre-pandemic levels of academic achievement among our state students. And now our responsibility is to sustain that progress and to do everything we possibly can to support the healthy growth and development of our children. And that is exactly what this legislation will achieve. With it, we're going to create a more nurturing and supportive environment for every student. We're going to rid our classrooms of needless distractions and encourage our children to be more attentive and engaged during the school day. And we're going to make it easier for our children to socialize. For our educators to once again hear hallways filled with joy and laughter instead of fingers silently tapping away at screens. And to inspire our youth to discover new friends or new passions, like, for instance, singing a cappella with the Ram Jams. Just making sure you knew we did our homework here. By the way, this is a faux phone. Is it Michael Thumb's phone? I can't remember whose phone it is. Michael Thumb, your principal, gave me his phone. I actually, long ago, have left my phone in the truck when I go into meetings, so I don't even bring it in. But they had to take some pictures to make it look like it was my phone. So, Michael, thank you for allowing me to borrow that. That will be locked up until I am no longer governor. So thanks to everyone here today. We're going to show the world what it means for New Jersey to have the very best public education system in the nation, and at the same time to shape the future of technology both audaciously and responsibly. So thank you all. It is now my great honor, I mentioned her a few minutes ago, to introduce one of the sponsors and driving forces behind this legislation, this landmark legislation. Please help me welcome Assemblywoman Rosie Begoli.
Congratulations. May have to get on my tippy toes. I'm not as tall as the governor. Good morning, everyone. Before I start, I just want to say I've been a lifelong educator, school administrator, superintendent of schools, marking this year my 25th year in education. And there is nothing more that humbles an educator, or at least makes me proud after such a long career, than being able to stand in front of you presenting a piece of legislation that I believe will have a strong impact on the lives of students. I think when we become teachers, that's exactly what we want. We want to leave a mark on the lives of the children we touch, those students that walk into our classrooms every day, and they want us to we want to have them remember us, but we certainly remember them. Education has changed over those 25 years. It certainly isn't the classroom that I walked into at the age of 21, and I still don't know why I was there at that early age. I probably shouldn't have been there, not knowing as much as I know today. But I was given a piece of advice by my mentor when I became an administrator, and it was, if you make decisions with kids in mind and students in mind, always, and you leave the noise in the background, you will never be wrong. Making decisions in the best interest of children is what we are charged to do, and that's what I believe this legislation today does. So first, I want to say thank you to the Ramsey School District. This is not easy, I know, because I'm a superintendent, for putting this together and having us all here with you today. A year ago, I think actually, Governor, I got a call on New Year's Day saying we need to start working on a piece of legislation for the cell phone bill. Can we meet on January 2nd? And I said, yes, absolutely, let's meet. And here we are again, a year later, ready to sign a piece of legislation that I can tell you as an educator I am proud to bring. I had many call me and say, will we lose local control? How will we be able to manage it? We have very large high schools. I have actually the principal of the largest high school in the state here with us today with 3,100 students. But our goal was to ensure that we had legislation that worked for every school district in the state. My goal was to make sure that we could effectively implement this policy, to work with the Department of Education on guidelines that met the desire of our governor, which was to limit cell phone use during the instructional day from bell to bell, and to accomplish legislation that would ultimately lead to more student engagement, bring students back together in conversations, have them have meaningful socialization and engagement, get teachers back to the business of teaching and not policing internet-enabled devices within their classrooms, and getting kids to calm the anxiousness of the moment. We're all living in that real-time news moment of when things are happening. We all want to know what's going on every second of every day. Kids waiting for that Snapchat to come through, or that like, or that next TikTok video that can happen in the hallway. The worry, I hope, is relieved. We heard it from students at Woodbury. We heard it from students here today at Ramsey. And through my conversations, I've heard it from students throughout the state, that even though it's hard to let go of the device, that they are thankful for the time that they have in school, that they don't have to worry about it anymore, that they don't have to compete for the attention, and that they don't have to compete with news of what's happening in the moment. I am grateful that the governor brought this legislation forward and wanted to move it along. I know it was one of your commitments, and I am incredibly grateful to you for putting this forward, as I am to Senator Moriarty for helping me and allowing me to be the person to stand with him to bring this on in the Senate, and to Assemblyman Cody Miller, who has been there every step of the way championing for this bill, and certainly to all the stakeholders that are here today, many of whom are my colleagues and dear friends, to Screen Aware of Montclair, who brought this to my attention and fought very hard for this day to happen, to all the advocates, colleagues, organizations that really set the tone and stage and advocated on behalf of students, on behalf of teachers, and on behalf of safer, quieter schools and more effective learning. And most importantly, I want to thank every student, parent, and teacher and school administrator who came to the table to voice their support for this legislation. I thank you all for being here, and I cannot wait for the stroke of the pen, and that September will start with a new day in our schools. Many schools have implemented this policy. We look forward to every school having a policy that works for them in September. Thank you.
I just said to Rosie privately what I'll say publicly. There's no one I know who's more qualified to have taken the lead on this in the legislature than Rosie. So thank you for your great leadership. Do you know it's an insurance commercial? I forget this is probably a bad sign for the insurance company. Where like they're trying to get the kid to smile, and they say no, and they bring in DeVito, the backup quarterback. So that's a little bit of a shot at Cody Miller. He deserves a lot better than that. He is also one of the sponsors of this bill, and he's been a bright light since he got in the legislature a couple of years ago. He is pinch hitting today for his colleague, Senator Paul Moriarty. Please help me welcome, come on down, Assemblyman Cody Miller.
Okay. So I just want to thank you all for being here today. As the governor said, unfortunately, my senator could not be here, my legislative colleague, Senator Paul Moriarty, so I want to start off by thanking him for getting this across the finish line. Rosie knows we had phone calls. Paul was calling us. Has this been posted in committee? Is the speaker getting it posted on a voting session? And Rosie, to you as well, you have been phenomenal to work with. I know that you have pushed. You made countless phone calls to get this across the finish line. And you are a primary driver, just like Senator Moriarty was with this legislation, and also to the governor. You had a vision to do this, to get this done. We all, myself, you, Rosie, we went to Woodbury and we met with the Superintendent Bell. And we saw firsthand the impact that this bell-to-bell ban had on students. They said that they were learning in the classroom, that they were having conversations with one another. That is important. That's what we need to do more of. Especially with all that we have going on in society, we need more conversations, we need more engagement. To close out, there are 3 winners. The first winner with the signing of this legislation are the students that are going to have more time to focus on their classroom studies, to do well, to excel academically. That's why those are the winners of this legislation. The second winner are teachers. Our teachers who have had to deal with the distractions in the classroom that have not been able to focus. They've been focusing on managing behaviors versus managing educational expectations. They're going to be able to teach in the classroom, and that is important. And then third, the community at large. Massimo said it best. Students now in the hallways are having conversations with one another. I think we know we need to have more conversations with one another. This is going to allow students, teachers, everyone to start those conversations again, to engage. We all go to the store. We know what it's like. Everybody's on their cell phone. Same way if you go to a school system that doesn't have a bell-to-bell ban. They're on their cell phones. They're not engaging. The governor talked about COVID, the pandemic, and what the impact it had on educational outcomes and engaging. This is going to stop that. This is going to allow people to have conversations. So to all of those who worked to get us across the finish line, thank you all for today. Thank you.
Cody, I love that. I love the way you framed the winners here. You know, I mentioned Jonathan Haidt earlier. Mahan Gunaratna, who's our Director of Communications, connected me with him a year or more ago. Actually, Andrew, before you and I even met. And at the time, we were toying with whether or not this should be a ban of cell phones in classrooms versus a bell-to-bell ban. And I want to give Jonathan a shout-out for pinning me up against the wall and telling me that this needed to be basically 7:45 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon, that the research showed that anxiety levels in the last 5 to 10 minutes of class started to rise, distractions started to rise because you knew you were about to get your phone back. So I want to give him another shout out in absentia. Cody, thank you again for being here and for your leadership. I mentioned her earlier. She's the founder and CEO of the Balance Project, which I love. Holly, come on down. Holly Muscat, hello.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you, Governor, for your leadership on this critical topic of removing smartphones and smart devices from our schools. As a mother of 3 children who grew up without a smartphone in my pocket, I have seen and experienced firsthand how modern technology is reshaping childhood today. This exact recognition led me to found the Balance Project. Our mission is to help families and communities find a healthy balance between real-life experiences and intentional technology usage to help them live their lives to the fullest. What we've seen with our work is that this is not just a family issue. It's a public health issue that requires attention from parents, educators, lawmakers, community leaders, and children themselves. And so, on behalf of parents everywhere, we are so grateful to you, Governor Murphy, and to you all who have pushed this bill through, because you are paying attention and you have taken meaningful action, and we are so grateful for that. While technology and smart devices are certainly not the enemy, in fact, they are a critical tool that support modern living, we must recognize that they are changing the way we live, how we spend our time, including our children. As a society, we've gone from spending 0% of our time on the internet less than 40 years ago to spending an average of 75% of our waking hours connected in some way. Let that sink in, right? That's a huge shift in a very short period of time. According to recent data, American children are spending an average of 7.5 hours a day on a smart device outside of school hours. As a parent, this matters because I know how important this time is for our precious developing children. I know that their brains are forming neural connections at the highest rate of their entire lives, and that those connections are either strengthening or weakening based on how they spend their time. I also know that their brains are still developing impulse control, emotional regulation, and their identities. And I know that smartphones, smart devices, and social media are engineered to capture their attention and amplify that social pressure at a time when they are most vulnerable. When our children spend their school days tethered to a device, not only are they distracted from their education, but they miss out on so much of their social development, connecting and interacting with their peers, with their educators, learning how to navigate disagreement face-to-face, how to read body language, or how to handle 5 minutes of boredom without scrolling. All of this is why removing smart devices from schools isn't punitive. It is a developmentally appropriate protection that restores learning, focus, and connection. When the phone goes away, the voices come back. Eye contact returns. Concentration deepens. Governor, by setting these boundaries, we are telling our children that their focus is valuable and their future is worth protecting. And so again, we are so grateful to you and the state of New Jersey for taking this important step. Removing smart devices from schools isn't just about removing a distraction, it's about restoring the physical world as a priority. It's about leveling the playing field for all New Jersey students. And most importantly, it's about ensuring our kids can be kids. Thank you for helping us reclaim our children's focus and for supporting parents to bring balance back to modern childhood.
Holly, that was awesome, and I just underscore 2 points. Number one, this is not punishment, right? This is an added. We're reaching a hand out here, and secondly, we're not technological Luddites. We accept technology. In fact, New Jersey, you could argue, is maybe only second in California right now. Bless you. We don't miss a thing up here. We are probably only second in California in the development of generative artificial intelligence. Our view is either this train's going to come down the tracks and run us over, or we're going to have to understand how to deal with it in a constructive, responsible way. So I completely accept both of those points. Not punishment, and we're not turning our back on technology, but we're reaching out a hand here, and I think it'll have implications that will last for generations. Last but not least, Cody mentioned the 3 winners. One of them are educators. We have the best educators in the country. Let there be no doubt about that. And representing the biggest union and the biggest block of those educators, please help me welcome the president of the New Jersey Education Association, my friend Steve Beattie.
Well, thank you, Governor. Appreciate that and the opportunity to speak. And I want to thank all of the administration, faculty, staff, and students here at Ramsey. Although when I was a high school teacher for 25 years, my kids were like, ooh, field trip today? Great. We get to come out and not be in class. But I appreciate the opportunity. Again, thank you, all of our speakers, Assemblymen, Assemblywomen, all distinguished guests, my colleagues from NJEA as well. It's my honor to be here. Again, I'm Steve Beattie. I'm a proud high school social studies teacher, teaching 25 years at Bridgewater Raritan High School in Somerset, now serving as the president of the New Jersey Education Association. So representing those teachers, I'm very proud and to say that we are here lauding this initiative. You've heard people speaking about the value of this. I have 2 daughters. One today is student teaching just up the road here in Bergen County. Yes, she's enjoying it. Getting up at 5:30. And the other in high school. And her high school has been proactive about this. They started to initiate cell phone bans going back a year, and you can see a measurable difference. And I'll also say, as a classroom teacher, right, we do so many jobs as educators in our buildings. You know, psychologists, you know, all the things that we do to nurture our students, and phone police should not be one of them. You know, and that's really where we are today. And I want to say that no one of our educators understand importantly how this will affect students' social and emotional health. You know, over these last several years, we've seen how that has affected the impact of the internet, the pressures. I know when I was in school back in the 70s, right? And if something embarrassing or else happened, you know, 12 kids made fun of you or whatever happened. Not a meme that had gone viral by the time you got home and literally could be crushing, besides the distractions. So I'm very pleased to know that we are understanding the value of technology, but also saying we need to understand how do we harness it properly and not to the detriment. And there's urgency in this work, and we're grateful to the governor and everyone else for his leadership on all these challenges as he prepares to end his 2 incredible terms, as I would say the best education governor in the generation, if not the country. So thank you, Governor Murphy. And I just want to spend just a minute as I finish up my remarks here as a final speaker, what may be the final signing, perhaps there's a few more in there, of the legacy that you leave behind, Governor Murphy, for all of our students in education, this being, of course, a crowning achievement as well. When I started teaching, again, a long time ago in the years BC, before Christie, I'll say, it was much different, right? I was proud, always proud to be an educator. Anytime I went somewhere, what do you do? I'm a teacher. And immediately, you had to have a conversation. You connect with someone just because of that. And then we came into some years where, you know, I'll have to explain to you how that happened with a certain prior administration. He shall not be named again. And then it was hard. I even myself was embarrassed sometimes to say to someone, what do you do? I'm a teacher. Like, because the things that went along with that. And we needed someone to come into the office as a champion, to lift up our collective voices, to lift up our profession, to restore the dignity and the respect that we all earn every single day. So this is from the Greatest Hits album, Governor, fully funding the school formula, right, the funding formula, improving teacher evaluation and student standardized testing, supporting student teachers and the pipeline, a diverse pipeline, at a time of critical shortages, and to introducing inclusive curriculum and protecting our freedoms to read, expanding preschool, and an intensive focus on early literacy and investments to school facilities and construction, including investments for our VOTEX and community colleges. The list goes on and on and on. Yes, exactly. And well, I'm going to get to that. Hold on, Nelson. I got that one. We're saving that for the end. And all of that was done while fully funding our pensions. We know that no one gets into education to be rich, and we understand that it's a factor of the things that are so richly deserved and earned, so we appreciate that. Our educators appreciate, and hopefully take that further. Unraveling some of the healthcare mess with our Chapter 44 regulation to, again, make it affordable, to make sure that educators can afford to be educators. And not only that, the full pension payments have set us on a trajectory undoing the damage with several credit upgrades, and the promise to educators that they can retire with dignity at a reasonable age, and having done that work. So that's who this governor is. We stand here today putting some, I guess, cherry on the sundae, so to speak, but really a very large sundae, full of scoops that are our pension payments and all the things that have brought dignity and respect back to the profession for the benefit of our students and our educators. He's a governor who has made true on his promises to public educators and public education in our schools. From day one, he's always made it a priority, lifted up the importance, lifted our voices as educators, and we truly, truly appreciate it. The recipient of our Friend of Education Award, one of our prestigious awards, and this is really such a significant legacy that our governor leaves behind after his 8 years of service, changing the lives generationally. This included, as we understand how important this is for our educators and our students. So, Governor Murphy, Phil, I think it's the first time I called you Phil, at least in public, aren't you? Phil? On behalf of our... Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, sir. My mom will be very happy to hear that. On behalf of our 200,000 educators, our members, the families and the communities, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank
you. Steve, thank you. You're welcome to stay up here and speak some more if you'd like. I said to Rosie, I feel like I had slipped Steve a 20 or 100 to say all those nice things. But all kidding aside, that means a lot to me. And as I mentioned to Rosie, this comes to me naturally. My sister was a Boston City school teacher for 35 years and used to speak to me in her teacher's voice. When you combine that thought with a Boston accent, watch out. But Steve, thank you, and to all the educators here and throughout the state. So, as they say in Hollywood, it's a wrap. So from Massimo to Rosie and Cody to Holly and Steve, to each and every one of you here today, especially our students who are the big beneficiaries here, from the bottom of my heart, I say thank you. Let's sign this sucker.